Good morning and welcome to the first ever episode of the Realttorney show. First ever, number one. I hope you like it. Now, in today's episode, we would like to tackle the topic of the settlement of estate of a deceased person. Now, this topic has received the most number of questions, comments in my website www.realtorney.com. Now, the question for today comes from Sweetlin. Sweetlin, you know who you are. Thank you very much for sending that question to our Facebook page. And I would like to quote it verbatim, and here it goes. Good afternoon, attorney. I would like to ask for your advice. We have already a car of my mother's estate. Can my father sell it, though it was not yet presented in ROD? Thank you very much for that question, and it is really a good question. Now, two things. CAR means Certificate Authorizing Registration. ROD means Registry of Deeds. Now, I already answered Sweetlin in my Facebook page, and I would like to share that answer with you and provide further information for everyone. So, can the father sell that piece of property when they already have a car to a willing buyer? The answer to that question is yes. Yes, indeed. The heirs, in this case the father, can already sell the piece of property to a willing buyer even though the title has not been transferred in their name or it has not been processed by the Registry of Deeds. Now, this in my experience, this kind of transaction lessens the cost on the part of the heirs because there's already a buyer, and that the Registry of Deeds will not be imposing on the sellers or the seller heirs that they transfer first the title in their names before they sell it. Now, in my experience also, I have done a lot of these transactions, and this is how I did it. So, for extrajudicial settlement of estate, sometimes you already put together the deed of sale in that EJS. So the title of the document would be the extrajudicial settlement of estate of Juan de la Cruz with sale. Now, that pertains to the settlement of the estate of the deceased person, who is Juan de la Cruz, and the selling of the property to Pedro Santos in that single transaction. So, furthermore, I also said to Sweetlin that she may want to already pay the transfer tax, considering that the buyer who may be not willing to pay the consideration immediately, and therefore there's a time lag. And that time lag, the payment of the transfer tax may be subject or will be subjected to the penalties. Now, the penalties range from a surcharge or a interest rate. Now, different treasuries of the Office of the Treasurer of the different local government units have different amount of penalties and interest rates. Now, for most of these local government units, the period for you to pay your transfer tax is from 45 days to 60 days. So be aware of that. Now, in this case, I told Sweetlin that maybe they should consider paying the transfer tax in order for them not to be taxed or not to be penalized for the delay in selling the property, because eventually, you could also, or they rather, the heirs can also pass on the payment of the transfer tax to the buyer. But if there is a willing buyer, then that transfer tax will be paid. But if there is none, then the payment of that transfer tax would always be for the expense of the heirs. So I hope you learned a lot of those snippets of information. I hope you learn a lot from it, and we hope to see you again in the second episode of the Realttorney show. Now, before we go, I would like to advertise a speaking engagement of mine. I will be speaking on October 27, 2018 in the Kalipayan Resort, which is in kilometer 29 Aguinaldo Highway, Salitran or Barangay Salitran, Dasmariñas City, Cavite. Now, I will be speaking in the afternoon. It's a whole day event. My portion is entitled Implications of Train Law on Estate Planning. Now, estate planning is one entire practice wherein the settlement of estate is included. So you may want to plan for your future and the future of your children, grandchildren through estate planning. So if you're interested, please register in the link that we will provide in this video. It's down below, and we hope to see you there. And if you don't find the link, then you could always send a message to us in our Facebook page, in our Instagram account, in our Twitter account. Just look for Realttorney or Realttorney Jojo, and just PM me there, and I will give you information with regards to that seminar. So again, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the first episode of our Realttorney show. And if you have comments, if you have other suggested topics with regards to the real estate in general, brokerage, and selling techniques, please PM me or give me a private message or leave your comments below. And we will see you in the next episode of the Realttorney show. Bye for now.